Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Before I get into this video, I'd like to ask you all to please leave a like or comment on my video, consider subscribing to my channel, and if you dislike the content, please leave a comment. So the video for today is going to be the Gila faction ship build. So the Gila is one of the elite faction ships. Earlier I did release a video showing where each of the faction ships were, where to find them, and how to get their blueprints. Now, certain ships you get the blueprints directly from the encounter, and other ships you're going to get it in the future from either NPCs or from the story missions themselves that will come in with those factions. Now, currently it hasn't yet loaded in, but I already know the basic stats of the ship, and I can give you a little bit of a rundown on what it has. So its basic stats is it has just under 20,000 overall defense, and this is as it comes standard when you make it. Now, your cruiser defense, your cruiser upgrades, all of that are going to affect the ship, and once they have impacted into your ship directly, there I go. Once they have directly impacted into the ship, you can expect quite a heavy defense from these cruisers. And this cruiser runs two drones, four high slots, three mid slots, five low slots, three engineering rigs, and three combat rigs. Now let's go over the role bonuses. 200% medium drone damage. That means each drone is double as effective as it should be, and it means that you can really run through enemies quite fast. It also has 200% effective drone HP. This means that your drones are also twice as tanky as they normally are, meaning that with this vessel, playing your drones in PvP is very effective. And the fact that this isn't all that it has, drone operation for your medium bonuses, plus 10% drone damage added for each level, so a total of 50% is going to be added, and plus 4 kilometers for each level, another 20 kilometers to your range. So provided you have done advanced drone research, you're going to be plus 10 plus 20, that's 30 kilometers, and you have all of your drone research put in, that's going to make it even more hard hitting and more tanky at around 50 kilometers away from the target. Now that is just where you're starting, and let's go down to the next set of bonuses. Now the cruiser command bonuses go towards a weapon, which tells you exactly what weapon you're going to equip on this. That's going to be missile or torpedo damage. Now it gives you kinetic or thermal damage added at plus 10% for every level bonus. So plus 50% to those two damaging aspects. So this is going to impact you no matter what you're facing. It's in the mid 2 ranges where hardly anybody ever tries to buff defense. Buffing defense on those really isn't the wisest idea because everything does damage in more than one of those two aspects. Okay, and lastly, this has a plus 4% shield resistance. Now, with the introduction of the shield resistance and all the other aspects put together with the ship, this ship is fantastic at running missiles with drones, and it's good with running a shield, making this the ultimate PvE ship. It also has one other advantage in total when it comes to combat. It can also run in PvP considering its build, and with 5 low slots, you're really going to have a lot of fun with the ship. Now, there is a very big catch with the ship. It has a small capacitor. Wait, let me just get into this information. Not capacitor, sorry, a small power grid. At 664, you're going to have to watch your capacitor very closely, and I will be going through that in a minute or two when I go through fittings. Okay, so let's get into the attribute fitting starting from the top. Now, let's look at it. General shield build will fit this the best. Its shield is the strongest, followed by structure and then armor, making it quite the tanky ship. It has a nice large capacitor. It takes it 600 seconds to totally recharge. 15.28 gigajoules per second is the recharge rate, and that's excluding your engineering. 7 target lock standard, 216 meters per second, a little bit on the slow side for these vessels. Okay, so let's jump into building it up on the low slot. Actually, wait, let's go from the weapons down because this is a regular build, and then we can improve our outputs if we need through the engineering rigs. Now, if we overshoot our power grid, we can always add it in the power grid below. It's one of the best ways to do it. Now, here is the lightest on the power grid from all of the missile weapons, and it's also one of the best when it comes to overall damaging profiles. Now, this ship will work well with the rapid medium missiles. It would also work well with torpedo launchers, but there is a slight difference in the power grid requirement. This uses 43 megawatts, and the torpedoes use, what is this figure? 64 megawatts. So you're only going to be running 4 of these. Drones run at 1 megawatt each, and you're going to run either a kinetic or a thermal. I'd suggest thermal. That's the Vespa MK7, since the faction drones aren't yet out. And what that's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to increase your damage slightly. So once more damage with a higher damage drone. That means bigger hits to each ship every time you're going through. Perfect match for you as you are playing right now. Now let me just figure out what's the total power with the torpedo launchers. It'll be 6 times 64 times 4. It would have been 264. So 264 megawatts if you use the torpedo launchers. If you use the missile launchers, which will be a much wiser one, that's the rapids, it's going to cost you 152 megawatts. And with the 2 drones, it's plus 2, so 170 2 adding to those 174 megawatts with the drones added in. So let's go into your mid slots. Now, this ship can be used for PvP or PvE. In electronic warfare is what we're going to look at first. Both of these use 1 megawatt each. You can use a stasis Weber fire as your first option, or you can use a warp disruptor. If you're using a warp disruptor stasis Weber fire, then your last option on this build is going to be to include Norse energy drain. Now, the Norse isn't a very light system in terms of power grid. It's 83 megawatts per Norse. So, sorry, not 83, 88. That's 176. 176 plus 174. That's 180 plus 170. 350 megawatts on your total power drain, and you have only completed till the mid slot. Now, dropping to your low slot, the next thing which is going to be added in is going to be your shield boosters. Now, one of these items is interchangeable, and I will show you which ones, but I'm first going to go over what's going to be in all of your builds. So, medium shield booster, sorry, wrong one to start with, but I think all 3 C are the same. 55 megawatts being added. You're at 350. You are now at 405 megawatts if you are going with the medium torpedo launchers. If you are going with the medium missile launchers, if you are going with torpedo launchers, you are now up to, if I'm correct, they're about just under 80. You're at 480 megawatts. And this is where the killer is about to start joining in. Shield hardener is basically what you're going to need in all of them. This here runs at 1 megawatt. Adding it into your total, that's going to make it 406 megawatts. And the next thing to put onto any one of these ships is an afterburner for maximum speed output so that you don't take too much of damage. Even though this is also a very tanky ship, adding this in is going to help you overall. And that uses 83 megawatts. That will take us up to 489 megawatts, leaving us with the remaining 175 megawatts, 174 megawatts. So we have 174 megawatts left on this entire ship. These are our options in the remaining slot. Capacitor battery, C type. This is to run warp stable and change your builds. As you can see, it's not that heavy at 83 megawatts. It will fit in there perfectly. Then let's go up a little bit. Now your rig is already going to increase by 25% with your basic engineering added to it. So you don't really have to be too stressed about this power requirement. You most probably are just going to scrape ahead. Adding 25% to this is going to add about 75 extra. So no matter what I put in, I really could run anything I wanted to. Now, this is another option for improved shield recovery. That's going to cost you 75 megawatts, not that heavy. And your last and final option in all of this is a micro warp drive. Now, that was right here. I should have opened this first. This is a very expensive system, and let me just open it. Uh, 167. Wait, that's 514. Yeah, this is the best. So 167, that takes you right to the edge of your capacitor. You barely have any room left on it, and that is if you built with the exact fits uh, for your rapid missile launchers. If you change to torpedoes, you can't fit this. You are 80 megawatts short to put it on. And once you run up your capacitor, if you are running up with your torpedo launchers, you're going to have cruiser command cruiser engineering at advanced to give you the extra power grid on the ship to run it. And with that, there you're going to run cap stable. You're not going to be in too much of a problem when it comes to this vessel. Now there is always the option of adding one moment the warp core stabilizer. You may want to run it in certain areas. I haven't looked at this before. Doesn't make a difference as far as I can see. It's exactly the same as the Aurora. Yeah, it is exactly like the Aurora. Yeah, it's an exact replica of the Aurora. Anybody who buys the Neutra over the Aurora isn't actually saving money or buying a better slot weapon. They just replacing it with another slot. Now there is one more slot available on this entire power grid, as I was explaining, and as I said, we're already at maximum capacitor. So what were your options in terms of this? Provided you have advanced engineering, you're going to have. Well, no, let me just open this here to show you exactly what I mean. Uh, let's go electronics. This is gonna be engineering cruiser. Okay, when you have completed this, as you can see, your power grid gains plus 25%. So there remain 150 extra megawatts on that ship. So you didn't really have to need to go any further. But let's say that you went with the more expensive options of torpedo launchers. Where would you need to be here? Hmm. So altogether, you'd have a 40% extra. The 150 was enough to put on your micro warp drive. With the 150 being added right now, it's going to allow you to put on your micro warp drive plus another fitting. That's plus 40%. 4 times 6. 240 megawatts added to the system. Yeah, it's about right. Around 240, 250 megawatts is what's added on top of the system. That means if you are running with torpedoes, once you are at maximum advanced, you are safe to continue running your system. Plus plus your research into micro warp drives reduces the amount of capacitor needed. So does your reductions work on your other types of fittings. Now, when it comes to those fittings in the market, there was one more thing that needed to be added going down into your fittings. Now, since this is a battle rig and it runs with two major components, I'm going to suggest that you're going to run a weapon rig for advanced damage. So that's going to be missile califaction. So you're going to add a missile califaction 2 for 15% extra damage. So that's your first one that you're going to be using. Not a catalyst, calefaction. 15% extra damage as I thought. Go into drones. You're going straight to, if I'm correct, firepower. You want additional 15% firepower on these weapons. There it is again. 15% extra. Your drones are now doing fantastic in combat. And in your defensive rig, you want 25% extra on your shield booster per activation. Allows you to recover a shield a lot faster. That's core defense charge 2. Now, with all of this, you have a very heavy front line on your ship. You could make it all defensive. That is a shield extender, uh, shield booster bonus, and capacitor need adjustment uh, reduction. That will make your ship a very heavy shield tank, which will always run capacitor stable, provided you use the right fittings with it. If you wanted to make it a full attack vessel, you would go and increase the activation. You decrease the activation time of your missiles. You'll keep your bonus in damage, and you'll keep your bonus in terms of drone damage. I wouldn't go too far into the weapons because of the fact that the missiles aren't your only weapon on your ship. You always have your drones as backup, and keeping that close range is better for you overall because you can do a lot more damage. Now, in the engineering, the first thing you're going to do in navigation is you are going to improve your auxiliary thrusters. Now, if you're taking it into PvE, you might think about a warp core stabilizer, and the last is going to be in your engineering rig. You're going to make sure that you reduce your capacitor recharge time by reducing that time by 15%, and that is going to affect your ship overall with a nice solid boost, and it will make sure that you don't have so much of a waste of time when it comes to moving forward. You lose almost 90 seconds total on recharge time. That's going to give you a 500-second recharge to your booster, and with the additional bonuses from engineering, it means that that time is going to be reduced slightly with a larger capacitor on your ship and more firepower. Everything is going to be at your disposal in those terms. So that is what I would do for a build on the Gila. It is one of the best ships to run from one of the factions. It is attainable. I know that for a fact because players have been running around with it and fighting in PvP and PvE. And a lot of players have lost the vessels. Unfortunately, that's a very expensive vessel to lose. I'm not sure if it's insurable. Let me just double check on it right now. Only you read that right on the top. I didn't even bother to check on it since the trainers. No, it's not insurable, and it's usable at any tech level, so you don't have to worry. The same thing applies for the battleships, that if you have one of them, if I am correct, you can use this no matter what stage of the game you're in. So there's no reason to stress. If you have one of these, you can just equip it and run out. The rattlesnake is the same one from that faction. Yeah, no tech level required, so you can jump into the ship and use it to the maximum of its ability. As you can see, it gives you a massive bonus, and just with your basic operation bonuses, this ship is going to be super OP as it stands. So these are the types of things you have to think about when you are going through Dead Space. If you do end up with these plans, you can always build these ships and you can sell them. They are very, very expensive. Example, this cruiser could easily sell for 5 to 700 million ISK. Could even sell for 1 or 2 billion ISK as well if someone is willing to pay you for it. So that is the breakdown on how you build a Gila. Now, my build isn't a best build by any means because of the introduction of skills which are going to come in next week. Even though this is a major missile ship, you could change it up slightly with, let's see, the shield is a little bit more tanky. You could put an adaptive, reactive, and that bonus adding 4% to them. It's going to add a massive bonus to your resistance, especially since you're adding it in, and the fact that you are now adding even more on laser. So any lasers that hit you will do even less damage against the ship. That's if you build it in that manner. So that's one of the best ways to go for a Gila. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've definitely enjoyed exploring the ship like this. Have a good day. Thank you all for watching.